Let me make this crystal clear. What's happening in Los Angeles right now is not a protest. It's not community unrest. It is a freaking battlefield. ICE raids, the National Guard, boots hitting the pavement, and now President Trump is signaling for something even more explosive. He's put the U.S. Marines in Camp Pendleton on standby. This is not a drill. This is the precursor to martial law. And I'm sure over the past 24, 48 hours, you've seen a lot. And I'm going to go through it tonight. We're going to talk through everything the media is trying to bury: the violence, the crackdowns, and the foreign interference, and what could be a test run for national martial law. Now, you know, it started with ICE, and what you've been seeing over the past few days. Let me get to it here. I'm going to show some things here, like just the protests that are happening. We've had raids sweeping through LA. It started, ICE raids, that is, in the fashion district, back alleys, warehouse, and Home Depots. It was 44 illegal aliens to start off with, then 100 plus, then hundreds. And that's when the left lost their damn minds. The so-called protesters didn't show up with signs and chants, man. They showed up with masks, Molotovs, and bottled bricks. And when I say bottled bricks, they're pouring concrete into bottles. In Paramount, they were flipping trash cans to block intersections. In Westlake, they were ambushing officers from the rooftops. So we're seeing a lot of stuff going on, right? Windshields shattered by cinder blocks, some punk wearing a helmet and a bandana. Now, let me ask you, what kind of peaceful protester shows up with helmet and goggles? Exactly. This was an organized insurrection. And we've seen it before. It's the same old playbook, guys. The summer of love just is happening a lot sooner than the next election. They're going to build this up. And that's why, you know, it's funny because I've heard some of my friends stating this, saying that what you're going to see in the Trump presidency is that the summer of love is going to start happening a lot earlier, and it's just going to escalate into national chaos by the election, or maybe worse. Now, the LAPD, they tried to handle it, man. Tear gas, rubber bullets, flashbangs, the typical, you know, riot control type stuff. It didn't matter. This mob surged, bottles raining down. The crowds surrounded the Metropolitan Detention Center and threatened to breach the freaking gates. So the feds declared an unlawful assembly, and the National Guard got the green light. Trump invoked Title 10, bypassing Gavin Newsom completely, and dropped over 2,000 boots on the ground. The California Guard rolled in with armored vehicles, not shields, in a direct presidential order to restore law and order. Now, if you recall, leading up to the 2020 election, this was happening as well. The same type of protests, and Trump was sending federal agents into areas. And even if you remember, the governor of the mayor of Chicago threatened that if he sent troops or federal agencies there, they would be met by the police. So essentially like some kind of civil war. So this stuff has been happening. Okay, so you see here, Trump deploys National Guard. Hegseth threatened to send Marines to LA. Newsom calls the escalation deranged. But is it? Again, Johnson says Hegseth possibly sending Marines to anti-ICE riots, not heavy-handed, but a deterring effect. Here's Donald Trump being asked. You're going to see here at the very beginning, the lady's going to say the Marines, and then Trump responds.
As far as what I think it is, I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order. We're going to be watching it very closely. And when they spit at people, you know, they spit. That's their new thing. They spit, and worse, you know what they throw at them, right? And when that happens, I have a little statement. They say, they spit, we hit. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military, which they do as a common thing. They get up to them this far away, and then they start spitting in their face. that happens, they get hit very hard.
Even if you're not planning to invoke the Insurrection Act, you still plan to send troops?
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
So what you're going to see is a lot of pushback this week. He's talking about deploying everywhere. Now, I would show you a bunch of clips. You've probably seen a bunch, but the thing is that cops are getting swarmed, cruisers getting lit up, mobs launching bottles from behind cardboard shields. But let's be real. If I do, the video vanishes. YouTube's waiting for any excuse to crush content like this. If I wore a pink ski mask, if I wore one, a pink ski mask, and scream ACAB, they'd boost me to the freaking homepage. But I talk about border security, and suddenly I'm treated like a freaking domestic threat. So anyway, they use that excuse in 2020 whenever I was making videos, when I was showing situations going on, which really shouldn't even be going by community guidelines, but they would do it just for the reason. So that's why I'm telling you instead of showing you, if you're wondering why I'm not showing these things, because I'd rather this video stay alive than to get buried by a platform that's scared of the truth. And get this, the Mexican president confirmed that 35 of the detainees arrested were Mexican nationals, not Californians, not dreamers, but foreign nationals resisting federal authority on U.S. soil. Now, let me break that down. Illegal immigrants acting in coordinated violence against U.S. federal forces with foreign national protection. If that doesn't sound like an international provocation, you're not paying attention, guys. Now, Trump, he's not missing a word. He's called the LA a harbor for invaders. So it's a freaking harbor for a lot of things. He said the troops are there to liberate American people from leftist tyranny. And he issued a warning that if the city refused to enforce immigration law, then we will enforce it for them. We will have troops everywhere. Meanwhile, again, Governor Newsom is sweating bullets, called the deployment deranged, says it's an abuse of power. And what you're going to hear is that over the next coming week, this week, you're going to see a lot of things happening up in D.C. with Democrat pushback. Maybe even calls for impeachment. You don't know. I mean, just all kinds of crazy stuff. And you'll have freaking uniparty rhinos jumping in on it. But if you want to talk about an abuse of power, let your cities turn into cartel strongholds. You let fentanyl kill tens of thousands. You defund police while protecting illegals. And now you're mad that Trump is cleaning up the mess that they created. It's crazy. Cry harder, right? Now, again, here's where things go from wild to DEFCON 1. It is confirmed that active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton have been placed on standby. That is not the National Guard. That is not DHS. These are combat trained warfighters, okay? Again, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has said it. He's not denying it. Trump hasn't ruled it out. He's willing to go. And the Pentagon, silent. So this could potentially be real. And if the Marines get deployed, this stops being a local riot. It becomes a constitutional battlefield. And I can assure you, things will go crazy here. And let's be real. If LA falls, every other sanctuary city is next, guys. Every other one. You're talking Philly, Chicago, New York. These places will go next. It'll be Summer of Love, Chop Chaz, whatever it was called, all over again. And don't say I didn't warn you, because that's what's going to come down the pipe, right? I'm telling you, it'll start popping up everywhere, and maybe even not even the big cities, some smaller places too. Now, let's go deep for a second. This isn't just chaos. This is absolutely engineered. There are whispers that cartel money is fueling some of these activists, okay? There are rumors that foreign-backed NGOs are also paying protesters like they did in 2020. And the thing is that we know that U.S. aid was supplying money to some of these NGOs during the 2020 riots. So tax dollars were paying for some of these riots. You don't coordinate a nationwide illegal defense riot overnight without help. And hell, the DHS just updated the watch list. Some of these protesters have military experience. And let's not forget about what just happened. Okay, you might have seen this. Recognize this guy here? I think his name's Kabi Lame. He's one of the biggest TikTok stars on earth. He was just arrested by ICE in Nevada. I didn't even know that dude was an illegal. But the DHS website shows him in custody. And apparently he's a far left guy. I don't know. I don't think he really speaks on his content, but that's what they're saying. Now, he's from Senegal, is the place he's from, and he's here in the U.S. illegally. It's crazy. He's probably a millionaire. But why is the left melting down over it? Because when Trump said no one gets a pass, he meant it. No one, not even famous TikTok guys, right? Now, there's some other things here. We've got assault on federal officer and damage of government property, reward $50,000 for this guy. And I don't know if you saw it. I would show the clips where they're driving by and there's getting rocks, being thrown at them. We also have them calling it a mostly peaceful protest.
An administration that's targeting peaceful and sending the National Guard because he's peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is sending the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting.
Mostly fiery, but mostly peaceful protests, right? We have Kamala Harris talking about it.
A press conference shortly from the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. I'll be curious to hear how many times she references the president as she addresses what you're seeing on your screen in her city. Here's a statement I want to get your reaction, Ted. This just came out moments ago from Kamala Harris, the former vice president of the United States and, of course, the Democratic nominee for president who lost last year. She says, quote, "Los Angeles is my home. Like so many Americans, I am appalled at what we are witnessing in the streets of our city. Deploying the National Guard is a dangerous escalation meant to provoke chaos."
Chaos was already happening. What are you freaking talking about? Provoking it.
In addition to the recent ICE raids in Southern California and across our nation, it is part of the Trump administration's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. The administration's actions are not about public safety. They're about stoking fear of a community.
I guess she hasn't been paying attention to what these, Trendy Arawa and all these other guys have been doing.
Demanding dignity and due process. Protest is a powerful tool, Harris writes, essential for the fight for justice. And as Benson, as one LAPD mayor and governor have noted, demonstrations in defense of our immigrant neighbors have been overwhelmingly peaceful. I continue to support the millions of Americans who are standing up to protect our most fundamental rights and freedoms. Ted, that's Kamala Harris saying that she's appalled by what she's seeing because of Trump and because of law enforcement. Your reaction?
Well, I, as a lawyer, can tell you I believe in the First Amendment and I believe in peaceful protest. But what we've witnessed over the last several days here in California and L.A. specifically is not been peaceful protest.
Think about how long you heard about January 6th and see what's happening now. And think about how they just brushed off everything happened during the BLM riots, right? But the question I have for you, is this the beginning of martial law? Is this Trump laying the groundwork for a nationwide federal action? Or is this exactly what America needs? I want to know, because I know people are conflicted. I want to know what you think. A reminder that, to me, is going to be a reminder that lawlessness will never be the law of the land, because we have seen it in 2020. We saw lawlessness. The Bible speaks about this, and that's what we saw. Criminals were allowed to do whatever, and if you were a hardworking American citizen, you were the one being put behind bars if you were defending yourself or what have you from these rioters. Because whether you're in LA or Little Rock, you need to be prepared, right? You need to be prepared. This stuff could happen at your city. You could get caught up in it, man. There were guys just driving home and in places all over the country. If you recall, I'm just reminding you because I know that a lot of people may not remember it, or they will once I talk about it. Families just driving home and being attacked for no reason. They had nothing to do with it. Okay. And so to me, I believe we're going to see more and more escalation of this. The left are finding any reason they can to bring lawlessness back into this country. You had judges for years just slapping the wrist of these criminals and letting them go. bringing them in by way of open borders and essentially letting them go take over houses. I don't know how many people I saw. I saw a lady one time. She had her house taken over by some criminals from, I think, Venezuela. And she went to go with the police to get them removed, and they wound up arresting her. And it was her freaking house. So this is why you need to be prepared, guys. You never know when things are going to pop off. I think I've always been saying things are going to get worse before they get worse. I'm really anxious to see what's going to happen this week because I think things are going to escalate much more. If Trump calls in the Marines, I can assure you, Marines don't F around. They don't. And you're going to see absolute chaos within the country. I believe it. And it's exactly why, I don't know if you guys saw, if you went to blackscoutsurvival.com, it's why I dropped GrayMan2 Protocol. I worked on it all night to get it out. I didn't even sleep. I worked on it all night because you may need this. It's the ultimate playbook. Like if you read part 1, you're going to be blown away by part 2. It's the ultimate guide for becoming invisible, evading surveillance, and thriving in urban environments when there's collapse. And right now, I've reduced the price down for the next 48. I'm going to give it 48 hours to everybody to get it. I didn't make a video the other day, so I didn't tell you. But I want you to be ready. Go get it. So 48 hours from now, I have it at the reduced price because I want to get the information in your hand. That's my goal. But again, like I said, I had to pay to get this done. A lot of money to get this thing made. Right? It's top quality, but it's 267 pages. And it is stuff that you'll, even criminal elements, like I went totally deep on this. If the Marines are getting deployed, I want to know your plan. Let me know in the comments. And if your city goes hot tomorrow, will you be able to disappear, or are you going to get swept away by the chaos? Right? That's why it's important to get trained, guys. Stay prepared, man. Get dangerous, right? Waiting to after a fact is not when your house is on fire, you don't go by the fire extinguisher then, right? But the link will be below, guys. I want to know your thoughts, man. Things are heating up. I really thought that it would be later. But like I said, a couple friends of mine told me that they believe this shut's going to start a few months in and it's going to last the entire. So we're going to start having this type of junk happening until election, if we even get that far. Okay. Maybe they were right. I thought it happened much closer to election. They'd start the whole playbook again. We also got a virus coming out of China again. I don't know if you saw that. That's popping up too. It's just a systematic approach, right? When Trump hit them with the tariffs, all of a sudden the outbreak happened, and then you had to buy the stuff from China. So now it's all that starting early, starting much earlier. So you have to be ready, guys. Anyway, I want to know your thoughts about all this. It's pretty crazy. It's only the start, man. And anyway, go get the GrayMan Protocol 2. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed, and get the training now. It's a training manual. GrayMan 1, if you don't have that, you need to get that first. You need to get it, read it, and train it. There's drills in there for you to train. Okay, there's checklists. There's printable documents you can use for things like the surveillance detection routes and so on. But it's a training manual. In GrayMan 1, you're going to see different drills all throughout the manual. In GrayMan 2, you're going to have the same thing. I need you to practice these drills. This is how you get that experience. And so when things do go kinetic, you already know what you're doing. You fall back to your level of training. Okay. Anyway, guys, I want to know your thoughts about all this. And if you're in one of these areas, please let us know any information you have. We'd love to have it. Just drop in a comment, tell us what's going on in your area. Because maybe there's some things going on in places we hadn't exactly heard about. But always remember to stay frosty, stay strapped, guys, and always stay dangerous. 2, 3. 1, 2.